Good evening, guys. Lawrence of Asia coming at you once again from Seoul, South Korea. And this evening I'm doing some biking. I'm actually going to be doing a lot of biking. I know the audio won't be great on this one, but I thought, you know what? Let me show you how I do it. All right, we're about 30 minutes from sunset right now. And I've got about 30 kilometers ahead of me going to a stand-up comedy show. It's only on Tuesday, in English, of course. And yeah, it's all the way in Itaewon, so it's a good ways from where I am right now. Yeah, and I'm on the good old trusted bike here. Got a bit of food with me. Got a jacket for later when it cools off in the evening. And yeah, so this evening I want to talk to you gentlemen about the importance of living your life and getting out into the world. Once again, gentlemen, being physical, living life in a thriving way, in a vibrant way, what it means to live a life with vitality, with excitement. I throw my headphones in, gentlemen. I listen to my favorite liquid drum and bass. I actually just listened to some psytrance just now. Not generally my thing, but I thought I would give it a shot. Popped up on my feed. I love the liquid drum and bass. Really excites me, excites the mind. I feel like my mind is firing on like all cylinders plus some when I listen to that music. So yeah, if you guys are familiar of Hoffman, what was his name? Last name Hoffman, forget the first name for some reason. The gentleman who discovered LSD by accident, the chemist. He basically took in some LSD, which is essentially fungus from rye bread or rye grain. And he didn't even know he had ingested it or it had popped in his eye or on his skin or whatever. And what did he do? He immediately jumped on his bike and he began just going and going on the bike. And every time I jump on the bike and I'm on an adventure like this, I'm always reminded of that. There's some caged dogs keeping protection over the farm. These are all greenhouses where they do a lot of farming, planting, as you can see. Industrial farming, I would call it. Yeah, it's definitely industrial farming, but it's not mass scale farming. It's his local city farming. I mean, I'm sure they consume this stuff all around the country. You know, an interesting fact, gentlemen, here in South Korea, when you ship just about anything, you send something through the post, through the mail, you only pay like $1.50 to $3 generally for anything. You know, even for a big box, right? Whereas in the States, that would cost you $22, $23 for a large box, sometimes even $40 if it was bigger. You know, you can't even get away with shipping small things over a pound for less than $10 in the States. Here you can ship that for $1, $1.50 basically, $2 at most, basically anywhere within the country. So it makes commerce a lot more fluid, per se. Hi. Some young guys on the bikes. It's good to get out. You know, that's what life's all about. I can remember the happiest days of my life is when I was young. There's Gyeongsan there. It's a big mountain close to the house. It's got the little mini Eiffel Tower on the top. But I can remember the happiest days of my life, gentlemen. Always on the bike in the neighborhood with friends. My brother always felt alive when I was on the bike. Moving through the world, you know. And running is fine. Walking is fine. Driving is fine. Motorcycles are fine. Motorcycles are epic as well, of course, especially off-road. There's something about a bicycle where you're pushing yourself with your own energy. You know, you are pushing yourself through the world. This guy just passed me here. I'm gonna have to come back and pass him back. There's an airplane taking off. There's so much happening, right? So much going on. Yeah, I'm biking with no hands this whole time if you guys haven't noticed. Here's a spot where they do let people set up their camps. I think this might be a storage place, but I think people live here like permanently as well, or at least for like a month at a time. Not really sure how it works. But you know, they're very lenient here in Korea. Most parts of Asia, I reckon, if you have a camper, no one really bothers you wherever you go. You're giving a lot of leeway, and the police don't bother you for petty things. I know in the States, if you park in the wrong place and you're sleeping in your car, you could get ticketed, and you very well will, or you'll get told to move. So even though it's meant to be the land of the free per se, it oftentimes is not, unfortunately. Here in Asia, you do have that sense of freedom in that regard, where people just leave you alone if you're not really causing any mischief or anything, right? So if you did have a camper van, you could just set up anywhere, go anywhere, park anywhere, you'd basically be left alone. Now, the way they manage everything here in South Korea in particular, which is one of the most technologically advanced societies in the world, people always talk about China, but South Korea is actually very similar, maybe even a step ahead. Maybe something similar to the Singapore Korea is doing on a countrywide basis, and it's a much bigger country, of course, than Singapore is. Another airplane taking off, gentlemen. But everything is done through cameras, right? So you're always tracked through your car with your camera, and you can, well, basically, that's how they give out speeding tickets. I've never seen a policeman who's actually, you know, clocking people with the radar, right? You don't see that. That doesn't happen. But they do it all through cameras, right? So those cameras also link up with the GPS systems here as well. So if you have your address plugged in and you're using one of the GPS systems or one of the map systems, right, one of the apps here in Korea, it will tell you and start beeping when you're getting closer to, it'll start giving you a warning and let you know you're within 500 meters, you're within 300 meters, etc., of that speed zone or that camera. So the way it works is everybody drives really fast, they get close to one of those cameras, they slow down, and then they speed up again. But it keeps people in check. In the beginning, it was super annoying, and I absolutely hated it. 안녕하세요. Hello. In the beginning, I hated it, right? Now, I think I prefer it. Whereas in the States, you never know where someone may be hiding, ready to give you a $200-300 ticket. Hi. Yeah, just nice being out here before the sunset. It's not too hot. I am exiting this area of Incheon, and Incheon and Seoul, in a lot of ways, they're the same place. Anybody who flies in and out of Seoul, Korea, flies in and out of the Incheon airport generally, or the Gimpo airport, both of which are in Incheon area, which is where I live, but it's considered its own city. However, the buildings really never stop. If you drive on the highway, the buildings, tall buildings the entire way, right? But, you know, Tokyo being one of the biggest cities in the world, Shanghai, Beijing, and I know there's other Chinese cities that are really big, but if you were to combine Incheon and Seoul together, which to me they are like one city, it would be the biggest city in the world. Now, you guys can fact check me on that. Fact check. What a funny phrase, huh? Here's some interesting art. 안녕하세요. Hi. Hi. So it's pretty cool, you know. I'm realizing that 안녕하세요. With a camera, people are more interactive when I have a camera on them. I'm noticing. Korean people can be shy, very, very shy, and kind of, yeah, they can withhold. So, 안녕하세요. So it's pretty cool to have the camera and see people warm up. It's pretty neat. Perfect weather here at the moment here in South Korea, just freaking amazing. And the thing is, we're going to be traveling soon, but this is like the perfect time to be anywhere. You know, this type of weather is just absolutely epic. And in the northern hemisphere, where it's not scorching hot, but it's just perfect, right? And the evenings are perfect, not too cold at night. You know, Northern Europe, Sweden, being a place to consider going back to this time of the year, summertime. Those countries where they're in the northern hemisphere, or the southern hemisphere, say they're in the northern hemisphere where they're only really warm 3-4 months of the year. Those are some of the best places in the world for those 3 or 4 months. Vermont in the States being one of them. So gentlemen, how do you get yourself to live this way where you don't get stuck in a routine and you do the things that you love, right? Well, one, you need to be in a place, you need a geo-max. You need to, meaning that you need to be in a place that you love and in a place where you are where the weather is good enough that you feel prompted to go out. Now, get outside regardless of what the weather is every single day of your life. However, you also need to be in a place where the air quality is good. If the air quality is ish, then it's it can make you sick just to be outside. Many of these Asian cities, even here in Seoul, oftentimes you find yourself getting sick damn near just because of the air quality is so bad. They say it comes from China. I think it comes from the jets flying overhead and releasing something, a lot of heavy metals. You guys know all about it already. 안녕하세요. So, as you can see, it's bridge after bridge after bridge. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Sun's getting low. As you can see, though, it's bridge after bridge after bridge. And coming up on the Hangang now, which is a bigger river. It's the main river. And in Korea, they call it the miracle on the Han. It's this, the industrial, economic, mega explosion that happened here in South Korea, where they went from one of the poorest countries in the entire world, like number 200, to now say like number 10 or 15, like number 15 or so in the entire world per capita. So all that industriousness was done through the Han River. And as you can see right here, this is one of the mouths of the Han, where it's coming into the Han River here soon. And as you can see right here, you can see the loading docks where they have the big shipping containers and so forth right up here. You can see that. The other thing I was going to mention, gentlemen, parking in cities can just be a biatch, right? It can be very frustrating. I'm actually biking it versus driving just because I enjoy biking first off, but also the driving can be so frustrating with parking tickets and whatnot. You think you got a good parking spot and nobody's going to bother you, and then you end up with a parking ticket in the mail. So that's one other subtlety I was going to mention with how everything is basically managed here in South Korea in regards to ticketing and so forth. And again, you don't generally have somebody pulling you over and bothering you. You just end up with a annoyance, a small ticket in the mail, which is generally somewhere between $35 and $40. I'm slowing down because we got a lot of bikes here. 안녕하세요. These are school buses, guys. These are like school buses here. 안녕하세요. So, yeah, that spot right there is a little bit heavy with traffic generally. Sometimes, generally not actually, but if there are a lot of bikes, it can be a bit heavy there. I'm now turning onto a side street, and within a couple of minutes, gentlemen, I'm actually going to be on the Han River. Now, I don't know how much more battery I have. My camera might cut off like it did last video. I'm not sure how much. I'm not sure how much I have to delete, or if I'll need to. But hopefully it'll keep going.